The story opens in 1869 in a quiet New England town. Two frightened boys, Caleb and Benjamin, bury a mysterious wooden chest deep in the ground in the dead of night, desperate to be rid of it. Benjamin slips. From inside the box comes the steady, pulsing, unnatural sound of drums. It sounds alive, which chills the younger boy to his bones. Benjamin worries that someone might find the box in the future. Caleb, filled with dread, prays that God have mercy on the unfortunate soul. The box is forgotten. Over a century later, in 1969, young Alan Parrish lives in the same town. He seems like a happy kid whom all the adults acknowledges. But this happy kid was constantly bullied. Lucky for him, he escapes to his father's shoe factory. Alan is the son of a wealthy, emotionally distant father, and feels constantly misunderstood. Bullied at school and pressured at home, Alan longs for escape. That same afternoon, after being badly beaten and having his bicycle stolen, Alan hears the faint sound of drums beating. Curious, he follows the sound to a construction site, found a muddy wall, and stumbles upon the mysterious buried chest. Inside, he finds a strange board game carved from wood, Jumanji. The game seems old and unsettling, but irresistibly intriguing. He takes the board game home. After a serious argument with his father about sending him off to a boarding school, angry Alan tells his father he will never talk to him again. Be careful what you wish for, especially after digging up an old board game with strange tribal drumbeat coming from it. Still upset, Alan plans to run away from home but was stopped as his friend Sarah Whittle returns his stolen bike to him. As he chastises her for helping him, Sarah hears the desperate beat of a drum. He invites her to play. As he reads the words on the board, Sarah tells him she had stopped playing board games for many years. As she stands to leave, she throws the dice, and the game comes alive. There was no turning back for her now. They hear the flapping sounds of wings. Scared, they decided to stop playing. But the sudden loud chime of the clock startles Alan. His dice slips from his fingers and rolls on the game. He rolled an unlucky number and was sucked into the game, where he must wait until someone rolls a 5 or an 8. Terrified and traumatized, Sarah flees from the strange game while being attacked by bats. 26 years later, into the present day, siblings Judy and Peter Shepard move into the long-abandoned Parrish house with their aunt, Nora. The house is filled with dust, dirt, and forgotten memories. At night, and even during the day, the kids couldn't stop hearing the sounds of a drum beating. The moment their aunt leaves for work out of town, the game pounds loudly, as if desperate for new players. While exploring the attic, the children discover the same wooden board game. They read the rules. They assume the strange behavior of the pieces is because the game is magnetic. Curious, they begin to play. The moment the dice roll, strange things begin to happen. Giant mosquitoes appear, crash through windows, and escape outside. With another roll of the dice, chaotic monkeys bent on causing destruction are unleashed, unleashing havoc and confusion in the streets. Then, they read the final rule. The only way to stop the game is to finish it. Having no other choice, Peter rolls the number 5, summoning a ferocious lion and releasing a grown-up Alan Parrish. Fearless, attesting to his 26 years in the jungle, Alan faces the lion and, in a smart move, traps it in a room. He gets acquainted with the scared children, thanking them for freeing him. The boy who vanished has returned as a man, confused, frightened, and emotionally frozen in time. Alan learns that his father gave up his business, spent all his fortune trying to find his lost son. His parents died believing he was lost forever, and the guilt nearly consumes him. Yet there is no time to grieve. Chaos erupts around the small town of New England. People are being bitten by blood-sucking mosquitoes with tips that could pierce through leather and glass, and are falling terribly ill by the numbers. The kids, desperate for their house to go back to normal before their aunt finds a lion in her bedroom, insist they must finish the game and beg Alan to help them. Reluctantly, he agrees. But this time, the game refused to move. It was not their turn to play. The group realizes they need Sarah. Now an adult, Sarah has lived her life branded as unstable because of her childhood trauma. When Alan finds her, she is terrified, convinced the game ruined her life. But all 2,000 hours she had spent during therapy convincing herself that her trauma was not real shatters as she sees the strange board game again, pulling her back into the nightmare she never escaped. Together, they resume the game. Sarah's role unleashes carnivorous plants that overtakes the entire building. Alan's role summons the terrifying hunter, Van Pelt, a ruthless and fearsome warrior whom Alan was well acquainted with in his time in the jungle. Ready or not, he chases Alan, causing his own destruction on the streets. Judy's role unleashes a stampeding herd of the biggest animals in the wild, both ones that run and ones that fly. A pelican steals the game, and they go after it. Luckily, Peter was able to retrieve the board game. Alan gets arrested, but is released after revealing his identity. Peter tried to cheat the game and soon started turning into a monkey. As chaos spreads across the town, the stakes become clear. If they fail to finish the game, the destruction will never stop. Van Pelt steals the game from them. In the confusion, Peter steals it from him and hides in a car from a wild stampede. He was nearly crushed. But this was a perfect opportunity for Pelt to steal the board again. Sarah, Peter, and Judy follow the wild hunter to a store, where they bravely faced him, retrieving back their board game. After his release, Alan went to find them, and accidentally saved the day. It was now Sarah's turn again. Her role unleashes a greater threat, a monsoon violent enough to flood the whole town. As if that was not enough, the flood was accompanied by crocodiles. Alan rolls a 7 and unleashes a sinking ground. Desperate to save Alan, Judy rolls her dice, which grants an opportunity to go back a turn. Peter's turn releases gigantic venomous spiders. It was Sarah's turn again, and she unleashes a force powerful enough to split the town in two. Finally standing his ground, Alan finds the courage to face his fears. He drops the dice. It rolls one final time, and reaches the center of the board. In a happy cry, he whispers Jumanji. The game is complete. With a thunderous reversal, everything resets. The destruction vanishes. The town returns to normal. Time rewinds. Alan and Sarah find themselves back in 1969, children again, in the moment before everything went wrong. This time, Alan makes a different choice. He reconciles with his father. With all their memories still intact, Alan and Sarah throw the board game into a river, and they share a kiss. Years later, in a restored present, Alan and Sarah are married and thriving. They cross paths with Judy and Peter, now children again, just before their parents are about to die in the future that no longer exists. Alan intervenes by offering them a job, thereby averting their deaths. As the story comes to an end, the cursed board game washes up on a beach, half buried in the sand, as two little French girls are drawn by the thudding beats of a drum coming from the game. If you enjoyed this recap, like the video, subscribe for more classic movie breakdowns, and let me know in the comments which film you want next. Also, comment below if you dare play Jumanji yourself.